Hi everyone, I'm Abigail. This is Megan, and welcome to another Two Kids interview.
We are joined by author Linda Davis, who wrote the brand new middle grade novel, Food Fight.
Miss Davis, it's nice to see you again. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I've been looking forward to this.
You've been a social worker. That's what your master's degree is in. Did you wake up and one day and decide, I'm going to write a book?
Well, I don't think it went quite like that, but what happened is I had a nephew. I still have that nephew, but when he was younger, like maybe closer to your age, he was a super picky eater. And I started learning about picky eating. And I learned that it was actually an eating disorder, or could be an eating disorder. And I think having been a social worker helped me understand it and helped me write the book.
Writing isn't easy, and rejection seems to be a part of most writers' story. Was that a part of your journey at all?
Rejection was a huge part of my story. And it sounds like you guys know a little bit about the writing process and the publishing process. But when you're trying to get a book published, you send out these letters called query letters to agents and to publishers saying, hey, look at my book, you might be interested in it. And I sent over 100 of those for Food Fight. And that means I got over 100 rejections. And most people said, we think that this story about a picky eater is not going to be interesting to enough people. And I really believed that it would be. And so finally I found a publisher in North Carolina, a small publisher who said, yes, we think this is a good book and we want to publish it.
When somebody reads Food Fight, what do you hope they will get out of it?
Well, I hope that the most important thing is that they enjoy reading it. And that's why I tried to put a lot of humor in it. But I hope part of the message that they take with them is that I think we can all work on being more respectful of how other people eat. And I'm sure you two know kids that maybe are like gluten-free or vegetarian or vegan or, lactose intolerant. And I think we're getting better at respecting those things. But I think we can all get better, even grown-ups and adults can get better at respecting people who are maybe a little pickier or maybe who actually have ARFID. And we need to watch the things that we say, like, what do you mean you don't like hot dogs? Or what do you mean you never tried pizza? Because there are people who have those eating limitations, and I don't think we need to be rude about it.
What writer has had the most influence on you?
Well, I think a lot of the middle grade writers that have written issue books. So I don't know if there's one in particular, but I don't know if you guys have read any of those books, but issue books like about ADHD or autism or issues around weight or eating disorders. I think all of those books have helped shape Food Fight and helped shape me as a writer.
Did you write a lot as a child?
I wrote stories and I wrote a lot. I did a lot of journaling just about my feelings and things that were going on. And then it was more as an adult that I started joining some writing classes and some writing groups and trying to be a little more serious and a little more intentional about my writing and a little more thoughtful about some of the boring stuff too, grammar and punctuation and whether I was doing some of that right. Because when you want to be a writer and have other people read your stuff, you have to be sure that you're doing it in the most professional, cleaned up way possible. And so that part is definitely not as interesting to me as writing the words, but that's a lot of what's important too, so that people will take you seriously.
What advice do you have for young kids who want to write?
Well, first of all, I would say read as many books as you can. Read things that you think you're going to love, and then read things that you don't know if you're going to like at all. And pay attention to what you like about a book. Do you like the action, or do you like the dialogue, or do you like the quiet parts when a character's just thinking to themselves? So that would be first, read a lot of books. Second of all, just write a lot. Write the beginnings of stories or the end of stories. It doesn't have to be like a full thing. You don't have to start a story and then finish it, because sometimes we get bored in the middle and then we want to go on to something else, and that's fine. But I would say when you think of something interesting or see something interesting, jot it down and write about it a little bit and see where it goes.
That's big advice.
Do you also have a smaller tip? Something you do in your writing?
That maybe a lot of people don't?
Okay, well, this is something that I do. I keep a list of words that I want to use. And one thing that's hard for me is because I'm pretty old. So when I'm writing for people closer to your age, and how old are you? I don't even really know.
I'm 10.
So am I.
Okay, so I don't know a lot of good words for 10-year-olds, and I can't use any words that like might be offensive. Of course, I wouldn't want to, or anything that's like a swear word. So I'm always collecting words that I think might be good words. So even like right here on a Post-it note, I have written the word twerp, which I think is kind of a fun word, and I haven't used it lately. So I keep words everywhere. I keep them on my phone, and I make lists of words that I might want to remember and want to use. Or if I'm listening to someone talk or overhearing something, if I hear a word and I'm like, oh, that's a good one, then I'll write it down so that I have a list to pull from.
Do you have any upcoming projects that you are working on that you could tell us about?
Well, I'm working on a YA book. So for a reader that's maybe a little bit older than the two of you, someone who's maybe like in 8th grade or high school, and it's a ghost story, and it's also a love story. And I'm getting back into that. I haven't worked on that for a while because I've been really working on Food Fight and getting people excited about Food Fight. So I'm going back to that. And then I have a couple ideas of some middle grade stories. One is a historical fiction story about a girl during World War II. And then there's another story, a whole book that I've written about a girl who likes to celebrate different holidays every single day, but that one needs a lot of work. So I need to pull that out and tear it apart and put it back together.
We like historical fiction.
You do? Do you have any that you've really liked in particular?
Maybe Alan Gratz books.
Okay. Very good. I should
I
read some
can't
of
really
those, I think.
pick any. There's just a lot, and it's so hard to decide.
I know. I have so many books and I can't even remember what I've read sometimes because I read so many.
Finally, it's time for Turbo 10.
10 rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
I hope so.
Let's go. Number 1, what is your favorite phrase to use?
Phrase to use. I like saying sleep on it.
Number 2, what is one subject you love to learn more about?
I would love to learn more about ancient Egypt.
Number 3, what is your go-to snack food?
Peanut M&Ms.
Number 4, what was your favorite book growing up?
I loved the book The Little Princess.
Number 5, if you could teleport somewhere right now, where would you go?
I would go to the Great Wall of China.
Number 6, if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
To be invisible.
Number 7, what was your favorite cartoon as a kid?
Definitely the Flintstones.
Number 8, what's your favorite rainy day activity?
I like to organize things. I like to organize closets and drawers.
Number 9, if you could have any 3 dinner guests, who would they be?
3 dinner guests. How
No
about
rules.
Okay, good. Taylor Swift, Judy Blume, Junie B. Jones.
Number
10, what's the best piece of advice you were ever given?
Best piece of advice. I would say that would be think before you do it.
You did wonderfully. Thank you so much
Okay.
for doing that.
And thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for spending this time with us.
We can't wait to read your future books.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having me. You two are great.